Chapter 737, Official Appearance. Why would the madman, Jayaman Sparrow, need to find someone to claim Admiral of Blood's bounty on his behalf? That's not right. Why would he be able to claim the bounty? Danitz suddenly snapped out of his confusion and grasped the crux of the matter. He immediately lowered his head to prevent himself from exposing his shock and confusion. The adventurers beside him continued their conversation. How would that be possible? No one would dare to claim it on his behalf. That's right, unless they wish to bear the wrath of the Church of Storms or selling out Jayaman Sparrow. 42,000 pounds. If I can receive that sum of money, I'll immediately head to Backland to be a tycoon. Haha, wouldn't you be enjoying yourself in the Red Theatre for half a year first? Perhaps Jayaman Sparrow can claim it from Intis, Fasak, or Fainapotter. Although it wouldn't be as much as 42,000 pounds, it's definitely in no way a low amount. As the adventurers conversed, they began imagining their lives after obtaining 42,000 pounds. They even had a conflict of opinions and began arguing with flushed faces. No way, are they implying that Jayaman has finished off Admiral of Blood? No, although that madman always had the intention of doing so, he lacks the required support that he needs. He needs to work with Captain Anderson Hood. Danitz stood up, pressed down his cap, and kept his head down. He rushed towards the billiard and card rooms where there were newspapers placed there. Just as he left, the few adventurers from before looked at his back and spoke in hushed tones. Do you recognize him? It's obvious that something is wrong with how he was acting so suspiciously. I didn't get a good look, but I think he's a pirate who's here to gather intel. Shall we? An adventurer gestured, slicing his hand across his throat. Perhaps it's someone we can't afford to offend. Let's wait and see. Another adventurer stopped his companion's actions. Danitz entered an empty billiard room, came to the corner, and picked up a stack of newspapers. He quickly flipped through them, and slowly, his expression twisted. What did that madman do? He really finished off Admiral of Blood. It's only been a few months, and his strength has risen to such a level. Furthermore, the papers didn't even mention Anderson Hood. Danitz was alarmed and thankful that he wisely chose to submit in front of Jayaman Sparrow. Otherwise, people would have long seen the news of him being hunted in exchange for bounty money. No, back then my death wouldn't have been published. Man, Jayaman Sparrow is really a member of a cult. As he thought, Danitz suddenly froze like a statue. That was because he was apparently, probably, likely a member of that cult. Haha, the church and military often likes to exaggerate. Yes, it's a secret organization, not a cult. Danitz consoled himself before having the feeling that the organization backing Jayaman Sparrow was surprisingly mysterious and abnormally powerful. The successful hunting of Senner, one of the 7 pirate admirals, was evidence. Phew! Danitz exhaled as he apprehensively praised the fool inwardly, expressing his desires to handle matters seriously. In a small building near the Governor General's office, Elend and Oz Kent walked out. It's finally over, Elend sighed as he wore his captain's hat. Oz Kent rubbed his red brandy nose and added with a sigh, that's right. They had been interrogated while separated for 2 full days because of Jayaman Sparrow. They were faced with interrogators who were best at such matters. Thankfully, Elend had never hidden anything from the beginning. He had reported to his superiors that Jayaman Sparrow was of unknown origins, but that he was friendly to the military. It had nothing to do with him, since the decision of making this crazy adventurer an informant while having his background investigated was made by the higher-ups. As for Oz Kent, there weren't any problems at all. He had followed regular protocol when claiming the bounty for Jayaman Sparrow. As they slowly walked towards the entrance in the middle of the garden, Elend said with a sigh, who knew that Jayaman Sparrow was that crazy and powerful? According to the little information that they knew, finishing off Admiral of Blood was just one of the most ordinary and trivial matters that Jayaman Sparrow had done that day. And such a crazy person had made the choice of entering the dangerous Banzi to save a few passengers and crew members who had merely expressed their friendship to him. Elend later learned that the dangers lurking in Banzi had far exceeded his imagination. The Church of Storms had directly destroyed the entire place. If I had told the interrogators that Jayaman Sparrow has a soft and kind heart, they will definitely think I'm lying. Humans are really a mass of contradictions. Elland silently shook his head. After hearing Ellen's poignant remark, Oz Kent replied with a wry smile. Back then, I thought you introduced me to a relatively strong adventurer. But in the end, he even finished off Admiral of Blood. Damn it. I even think he has the strength to become the fifth king. You wouldn't doubt what I say if you look at the forest and those nearby mountains. That place it's like. Elland glanced at Oz Kent and finished his sentence for him. It's like it was blasted by the coastal defenses more than 100 times over. That's right, Oz Kent agreed with Elland's description. By then, the two had walked out the main entrance. Elland looked at the night sky with twinkling stars and the dark crimson moon. After a few seconds of silence, he adjusted his collar and said, "Let's hope he doesn't return to the sea again." Bam, 6 Esphere Street. Dressed in children's clothes, Denton ran up to the study and said to his elder sister who was practicing her sketching, "Donna, they say that Uncle Sparrow is a bad guy, a cultist, and a murder. They even showed me the newspapers." Donna turned her head as she wrinkled her nose. "No way. Uncle Sparrow is a righteous, brave, and kind adventurer. We saw it with our own eyes. These are definitely more reliable than the papers." She hesitated for a moment before eloquently saying, "Al, although he had a very terrifying and ugly appearance, it was the price for his dreams and the power to protect. Denton, remember, the papers often like to fabricate content based on rumors or hearsay." "Yeah," Denton nodded heavily. "I've already cursed them." Donna praised her brother and subconsciously looked out. She saw that the street lamps had cast their light into their garden. It was tranquil, serene, and gentle. Hillston Borough, inside a high-class inn. Klein folded a white handkerchief and placed it in his left breast pocket, and he raised his hand to retrieve his half-top hat. Today was the day for the mysterious tycoon, Dwayne Dance, to officially appear in public. He didn't wait for the sale of the bike company shares or the mystical items, and he planned on first using the remaining £2,962 he had to cover his initial expenses. This was sufficient, as it was equivalent to 6 to 7 years of an upper-middle-class family's income. Arrodes didn't enter my dream last night. This means that he's unable to sense my return to Backland without any close contact. That's a good thing. Yes, I'll contact it with the radio transceiver tonight to inquire about the evil spirit. I won't need to go through this hassle in the future." Klein mumbled inwardly as he held his cane and walked out of the hotel. At that moment, the sun was shining through the thin mist, elating the moods of the pedestrians. Klein got onto a carriage, and he went straight for Sherwood Borough City Family Servant Assistance Association at 9 Canalowell Street. He planned on hiring an experienced butler and get him to organize the servants needed for a villa. In the City Family Servant Assistance Association, Balin ended a conversation with a male colleague that came to talk to her. She lowered her head to clean up the 2 drops of black tea on her lotus leaf-colored dress. At that moment, she heard a mellow and heavy voice that time had left its mark on. "Good morning, ma'am." Balin hurriedly looked up and towards the reception. She saw a gentleman in his 40s, wearing a tailcoat made of silk and carrying a gold-inlaid cane. Apart from the 3 buttons on his clothes, there was a golden chain that extended into his pocket. This gentleman had a pair of deep blue eyes, and he was good-looking. Even the tiny white patches on the side of his hair had added to the air he exuded. Just a smile from him made Balin feel her cheeks turn warm. "Sir H, how may I be of service?" "Ah, right, how may I address you?" Balin hurriedly got up and said. "Dwayne Dance," Klein warmly replied with a smile. "I wish to hire a butler, a good one." "Mr. Dance, please wait a moment. Have a seat." Balin hurriedly led Klein to the guest area, and she reached out to point at a cloth sofa. Klein held a smile without rushing or nagging her. He very patiently sat down and awaited the staff to provide him with a list of names of the butlers. "What a gentleman. Oh no, I forgot to ask him what requirements he has." Balin raised her hand to touch her cheeks and said, "Mr. Dance, what kind of butlers are you looking for?" Klein was already prepared as he replied with a mellow voice, It's best if they have served in a noble family before. This aided Dance in widening his social circle. Balin gradually grasped her professional knowledge as she said in detail, "Such butlers are rare. As you know, nobles seldom change their butlers unless they're unable to provide an effective service. Furthermore, even if they aren't able to be a butler, they're able to fill other positions in a noble household. In addition, the wealthy often have a considerable desire towards such butlers, and they're willing to offer salaries with a premium. Mr. Dance, we do have the kinds you are looking for, but their annual salaries are above £100. That makes the weekly salary to be about £2 and up. An ordinary butler's annual salary is £40 to £80, which is 15 solely to £1.10 solely a week. That appears to be at the level of a technical worker's salary, but the master will provide room, food, clothes, charcoal, and other necessities. A butler practically has zero expenditure. An annual salary of £100 and above is really expensive." Klein quickly did the math as he replied as though he didn't take much notice. "No problem. As long as they're good butlers."